The film opens in a classroom where a teacher named Marty notices that his students are distracted. They keep looking outside whenever fire trucks and police cars pass by. The children say that California has been hit by another earthquake and that a large part of the city is underwater. Marty tries to check the news, but the internet is not working. Soon, he needs to contact his students' parents, but without internet access he cannot reach them. Chaos breaks out. Marty has student records, but they are not enough. With no internet, everyone feels like the world is falling apart. As Marty leaves the school, he gets stuck in traffic because the traffic lights are not working. On the way home, he sees a sign above a bank with a photo of an accountant named Chuck and the message, "Thank you, Chuck, for 39 wonderful years." News from around the world slowly spreads. The ocean is rising and swallowing many places. Volcanoes are erupting, forest fires are spreading, and a tsunami is coming. In China, people have already started fighting. At the same time, Marty's ex-wife is shown at her job as a nurse in a hospital. In recent weeks, several staff members have taken their own lives. Seeing death every day has badly affected her mental health. She takes a break in the restroom, where the radio plays the same message, with Chuck saying, "Thank you everyone for 39 wonderful years." A coworker asks her, which is easier, marriage or divorce? She answers, "Marriage takes an hour, but divorce takes months." Later that night, she calls Marty and tells him she has been thinking about him all day. She wonders if couples are getting back together because during hard times, people want to be close. She also mentions that some coworkers have quit their jobs to spend time with their families. Marty tells her that he also has very few students left at school. He then talks about the cosmic calendar and humanity. She brings up the Chuck advertisement she saw, and Marty says he saw it too. They both wonder who is behind these messages about the end of the world, but neither of them knows who Chuck is. After the call, Marty turns on the TV, but the signal soon disappears, just like the internet. For a brief moment, Chuck's face appears on the black screen, and a man's voice says, "Thank you for 39 wonderful years." Then the screen goes dark again. The next morning, Marty notices that his neighbor is not using her car. She explains that she now has to walk 3 miles to work because a huge sinkhole has opened in the road. The hole has split the city in half and swallowed cars and even buildings. Traffic is terrible on the remaining roads, so Marty might not reach school until noon. They talk about how bad things have become. Only 10% of California is still standing. One area is on fire, another is underwater. Many cities are gone. Diseases are spreading and killing people. Animals and birds are dying, and their numbers are falling fast. Marty then sees many neighbors coming back home. They could not go to work because the sinkhole destroyed their cars and even the building where they worked. Marty speaks with a friend of his ex-wife who used to work at a bank and asks her about the Chuck sign, but she has no idea what it means. People everywhere look sad. Marty's neighbor says everyone is in shock. At first, there were protests, riots, and fights, but when nothing changed, people stopped resisting. They got used to the disasters and are now just waiting for the world to end. During their conversation, an airplane writes, "Thanks, Chuck," across the sky. On her way to work, Marty's ex-wife sees Chuck's name sprayed on walls all over the city. When she reaches the hospital, she finds no doctors or patients inside. However, all the monitors are still running and show the exact same heartbeat, as if they are all connected to one person. The beds are empty, but the machines seem to be tracking a single heartbeat. After some time, Marty becomes worried because the TV still has no signal. When he tries to call his wife, he realizes that the phone lines are also not working. He decides to go out and look for her. As he walks through the town, he sees many abandoned cars and more posters of Chuck everywhere. He notices an old man sitting on a bench and asks him if he knows who Chuck is. The old man says he doesn't know either. He explains that he has asked many people, but no one seems to know. Since the old man is going in the same direction, they walk together for a while. As they walk, they talk about life and how little time people really have. Eventually, the old man's legs begin to hurt, so he sits down on a bench to rest. He watches the sun set as Marty continues his journey alone. At last, Marty reaches his wife's neighborhood. There, he meets a young girl who recognizes his wife's name and says she has always been kind to the children in the area. The girl is skating because she wants to enjoy herself before the world ends. Suddenly, the electricity goes out across the entire neighborhood. Marty tells the girl to go home so she can be safe. At that moment, images of Chuck's face appear in the windows of every house, making the neighborhood look scary and unreal. Marty panics and runs through the streets until he finally finds his wife. They hug each other and reunite. Marty asks her about the advertisement, but she says she has no idea how it appeared or why he remembers it. At the same time, 39-year-old Chuck is shown lying sick in bed. He is very weak and connected to a heart monitor, which shows the same heartbeat seen earlier at the hospital. His wife and son sit beside him, crying, knowing that he does not have much time left. Meanwhile, Marty and his wife step outside into the backyard and look up at the sky. With the power gone, the stars look brighter and clearer than ever. They hold hands and point out different stars. Suddenly, one star disappears. Then another. Slowly, all the stars begin to vanish from the sky. As this happens, Chuck's wife and son say goodbye to him and thank him for his 39 wonderful years. Marty tries to tell his wife that he loves her, but at that exact moment, everything turns black. The world is covered in darkness, as if everything has ended. It feels like the end of the world. Then the story jumps back several years. Before the world's end, a young woman works in a record store. She loves music deeply and often takes her drum set to a busy street corner to play for people. Sometimes passers-by give her a little money, but not often. At the same time, a young writer is walking home, upset because her partner ended their relationship with a single message. After a moment, she calms herself and thinks that her life is not over and that there is still much she wants to do. She reminds herself that she was once a dancer, and now as a writer, she can still build a better future. Chuck is also in the city at this time, attending a banking conference. He is a successful accountant at a large bank. He is faithful to his wife, loves her deeply, and is proud of his son, who does well in school. However, Chuck is not truly happy. He finds his job boring and feels tired of his work and the people around him. When the musician sees Chuck walking by looking sad and stressed, she begins to play louder and more cheerfully to lift his mood. To her surprise, Chuck stops in front of her, hesitates for a moment, and then starts dancing. Soon, a crowd forms around them, including the young writer. She badly needs something hopeful in her life, so she also begins to dance. Chuck pulls her forward, and the two of them dance happily to the musician's music. After some time, Chuck feels a headache. He thinks it is because of his glasses, so he takes them off and keeps dancing. The crowd enjoys the moment so much that they drop a lot of money into the musician's hat. Afterward, the three of them sit together at a cafe, and the musician shares the money with Chuck and the writer. Chuck looks a bit unwell, but he tells them that he is fine. The musician asks him why he suddenly felt the need to dance. Chuck says he is not sure, but memories of his old band keep coming back to him. He explains that he used to be a dancer as well. When it is time to leave, the musician says goodbye and hugs both of them. Later, Chuck and Ryder walk together. Ryder talks about her recent breakup, and Chuck comforts her, telling her that things will get better. When they say goodbye, Chuck looks around and notices a child skating nearby. Even that quiet street corner makes him think again about why he stopped to dance that day. During this time, he remembers the dance and starts to believe that moments like that may be the reason the world exists. People enjoy life fully at first, living freely and happily, but one day life ends. At that point, a person becomes helpless and can do nothing to stop it. When Chuck was 7 years old, he went to live with his grandparents after his parents died in a car accident. The tragedy was even worse because his mother was pregnant at the time. For a long time, the house felt heavy and sad. His grandfather tried to deal with his pain by drinking and focusing on accounting work to stay busy. His grandmother stopped working altogether and no longer cooked. When Chuck turned 10, things improved slightly. His grandfather still drank, but his grandmother slowly returned to normal life. She began cooking again and dancing to music. She often made Chuck dance with her, which is why he later became such a good dancer. They also watched many movies together, especially ones with dancing. His grandparents' house became his true home, except for one place he was never allowed to enter, the kupa on the roof. His grandparents said the floor there was weak and that there was nothing worth seeing, so Chuck was forbidden from going up. He tried once to sneak to the door, but it was locked. The day before Chuck's 11th birthday, he and his grandfather were watching a documentary about the cosmic calendar. His grandfather was drunk, so Chuck asked him about the kupa. Grandpa said that from there, a person could see many things. He claimed strange sights appeared there, which was why the room stayed locked. He explained that the house was very old and had been rebuilt many times, but the kupa had always been there. He said that he had entered it only a few times, and each time he saw visions of people who were still alive but would die later. He told Chuck that waiting for death is the hardest thing a person can face. When Chuck's grandmother came home, she sent Grandpa outside to get some fresh air so he could sober up. She told Chuck not to believe what his grandfather said, explaining that he was just talking nonsense because of alcohol. Later, Chuck asked a neighbor about the people his grandfather mentioned, thinking that the visions might be connected to Grandpa's regrets and past mistakes. Chuck's favorite subject in school was English, which is why his English teacher liked him so much. One day after class, Chuck asked her about a poem that included the line, "I am large. I contain multitudes." The teacher explained that a person is made up of everything they have encountered and experienced in life: people, emotions, happiness, sorrow, goodness, and evil. Every individual carries an entire world inside their mind, and it is up to them to decide what fills that world. Love or hate, good or bad thoughts, fear of endings or ignoring them altogether. These choices shape a person's life. This inner world exists only as long as the person lives and ends with death. In short, a person's thoughts create their world, and that world dies with them. We then learn that the world described at the beginning of the story, the one coming to an end, was actually the world inside Chuck's mind, which ended with his death. A few months later, Chuck's grandmother died. She collapsed suddenly while shopping and passed away before anyone could help her. After the funeral, the house became dark and silent again, and Grandpa's drinking worsened. Chuck went to the store and asked the cashier what had happened. The girl explained that everything happened very quickly. His grandmother collapsed and died before anyone even realized what was going on. One night, Grandpa fell asleep at his desk and Chuck found his keys. Quietly, he opened the door to the kupa. Just as he was about to step inside, his grandfather shouted and pulled him back. Grandpa went to close the door himself, but something inside clearly frightened him. Afterward, Chuck began crying. His grandfather hugged him and apologized, but he never explained what he had seen. The fear on his face said more than words could. Later, Chuck discovered that his school had a dance club. He joined in memory of his grandmother. The teacher was happy to have another boy in the group, since most of the members were girls. They practiced daily to different music. Chuck was paired with a senior dancer, whom he soon developed feelings for. He tried to impress her using the dance moves his grandmother had taught him. Over time, Chuck became so skilled that he began teaching others. Eventually, the senior dancer agreed to perform with him at the school dance. The teacher even gave Chuck a new pair of dance shoes. Wearing them, Chuck felt pure joy and began to imagine dancing as his future. However, his grandfather constantly pushed him toward math, insisting it would guarantee a stable life. Art, he said, doesn't pay. Math exists everywhere. In music, in timing, in accounting, even in the way people are reduced to numbers. Math, according to him, was an honest art that never lied. On the night of the school event, Chuck told his dance partner that he couldn't perform because his leg hurt, a lie he told after listening to his grandfather. The teacher overheard and said, "If you don't want to dance, then don't. But don't lie to your friend, especially when you like her." Chuck stepped outside, looked up at the stars, and reflected. Then he went back inside and asked the girl to dance. Their performance was outstanding, and everyone praised them. That moment taught Chuck an important lesson. While practical things like math are useful, people should choose what brings them peace and happiness. He regretted lying and realized how important honesty truly is. Much later in life, when he was still healthy, he told his wife that when something feels predetermined, people often end up doing things they never wanted to do in the first place. 5 years later, Grandpa died of a heart attack at home. By then, Chuck was older and enjoying life with his dance group. A man informed Chuck that his grandfather had already paid for his funeral expenses. This made Chuck suspect that Grandpa had seen his own death in the kupa. Chuck inherited the house and decided to live there. Time passed, and he eventually got married. One day, while sorting through his grandfather's belongings, Chuck found the kupa keys and finally opened the door. Inside, the floor was solid and the room was empty. There was nothing unusual, only a clear view outside. Disappointed, Chuck turned to leave, but suddenly he imagined the future. He saw himself as an old man, lying in bed, counting his final breaths. At last, Chuck understood. The kupa revealed human deaths. Grandpa had seen the deaths of neighbors, his wife's death, and eventually his own. That was why he said waiting for death was the hardest part, especially when someone knows it is coming. That knowledge alone can destroy a person from within. Recovering from this realization, Chuck promised himself he would not fall into despair like his grandfather. He chose not to drink away his stress and not to surrender to depression. Even after seeing his own death, he decided to live fully. He repeated the poem's line, "I am large. I contain multitudes." He now understood that it was his choice what to place inside his mind. Chuck lived a happy life despite many struggles. He believed he had lived so well that people would remember him with gratitude for his 39 meaningful years. These were the thoughts that filled his mind at the end, because he believed he had become an example for others. No matter how difficult life becomes, we should always try to think positively and live fully. And with that realization, the film comes to an end.